Do you know how devastating it is to wake up another day to news that my friends and family and people in Lebanon are getting bombed by Israel, and having to message them asking if they're okay and checking up on everyone? Have you gone through that? How am I supposed to open my laptop and go to work and continue as if everything's normal when this is literally happening and people are getting murdered in their own homes? You're watching this right now in your home, and imagine a fucking missile just comes and wipes out your entire family. I'm so mad. Like, literally, look, I just woke up. I'm literally in Dubai with my friends and we're sitting talking about this, and they're asking me, because I'm American and they're all like fully Lebanese, they're like, Aya, like, do you think the Americans understand what it's like to be bombed? Like, do you think they understand, or do they think it's like a movie? And I fully said without hesitation, they have no idea. They have no idea what it's like. I had no idea what it was like. You watch the news and you watch all of this destruction happen, and then you just turn off the TV and continue with your day. That was my life until literally July 16th of last year. I was in Syria, 5 minutes away from where Israel bombed the Department of Defense in Syria. They bombed it 8 times with the strongest missiles they could gather, and it literally rocked the entire hotel. All the windows broke. I was completely alone on the top floor, scared shitless, and all I just remember is adrenaline. Like, adrenaline. I could run a whole marathon. Okay, you have no thoughts when this is happening, just pure adrenaline and fear. I was like, where's my mom? Did it hit my mom? My mom was where the bombing happened. Did anyone die? What is going on? You don't know what's about to happen next. You just hear and then the biggest boom and shockwave just comes, and it's just like, you don't know what to think in that moment. And you know what? I remember what I think. I remember I didn't give a shit about myself in that moment. In that moment, when I experienced those 8 bombs in Syria, 5 minutes away from me, and the whole building shook, everyone screaming, I was like, I don't understand how this happens to the people of Palestine every single day. A missile was 5 minutes away from me and I was scared shitless. I don't understand how this happens to people in Palestine every single day and not 5 minutes away from them, on top of them in their homes, okay? And they lose their families and their kids. Like, this is so fucked up. I don't understand how the world sits here and watch while this is happening. I remember I was in so much shock. I got so shocked that I literally got a fever from how in shock I was for a week, and I got so sick I couldn't speak for 2 days because I was like, I don't understand how the people in Palestine go through this every day, and I don't understand how my people in Syria experience this for 15 years, okay? It's so fucked up. And I just remember every time I heard a car or I heard a noise, I would get scared shitless because I thought it was another bomb. And this is not about me, this is about the people. This is about the people that are getting bombed right now, and it's so messed up. Like, literally, I've experienced, in under a year, I've experienced 3 wars. I was in Lebanon in June when Israel was bombing Qatar, and they closed all the airspaces, and we were stuck there, and we sat and we couldn't do anything. I was in Syria when Israel bombed Syria, and I couldn't do anything. I was in Dubai. Iran was bombing Dubai because of Israel on top of me again. Do you know how messed up that is? I'm literally in my apartment in Dubai. It's just every 10 minutes, bombs on top of you, and you just go outside and you smell it. You'll never forget this smell. It just smells so. Everyone's watching the news, everyone's on their phones and just making sure your friends are okay and your family and the kids are not scared. And just the threats that you get on your phone. You have to like evacuate your building and hide in the garage and comfort each other, and you just don't know what's happening and you don't know what to tell people. I remember when we were getting bombed in Syria, I was on FaceTime with my dad in the US, and he just felt so helpless, and I'll never forget how helpless I made him feel. And again, this isn't about me. What this is about is right now, as you're watching this, innocent people are getting murdered and blown up in Lebanon. It's not okay. This is my friends and my family and just people in the community, and the Lebanese people are the nicest, sweetest, most hospitable people. You don't understand. Like, they will give you their kidney if they could, just to help you, just to help a stranger. They're not cowards. They don't abandon their country. They will get bombed and shot and murdered and hurt, and they will still stay and defend their country because they love their country. And they're so strong and so resilient. And I just pray for everyone in Lebanon, and it's so messed up. Please talk about this. As much as you talked about Palestine, as much as you talked about Syria, as much as you talked about the Black Lives Matter movement, as much as you talked about Roe v. Wade, talk about Lebanon. I just feel so hopeless. I feel so guilty that I'm here in my bed, in my clothes, with a roof on my head, and my family's safe while my people are being bombed. And now I just have to go to work. Like, everything's normal, and it's not normal. Please talk about this. And please help. Please donate. Please do whatever you can. This is so messed up. I'm praying for Lebanon, y'all.
Lebanon has just been hit 100 times by Israel in just 1 hour, making it one of the biggest attacks that Israel has conducted on Lebanon for years. These strikes are happening in Beirut, particularly in the southern suburbs, in South Lebanon, of course, in Bekaa Valley, and these strikes are hitting residential buildings. They have been completely flattened. They are hitting ambulances. They even hit a funeral in the Bekaa Valley. Lebanon is a country that was already struggling. It was already struggling to get in basic medicine for people. I so often see my Lebanese friends out there asking if anybody is travelling soon to Lebanon and can bring diabetes medicine, tampons, you name it. Bodies are piling into the hospitals that are already on their knees, and they do not have enough blood. Israel are not targeting Hezbollah. They are targeting civilians, infrastructure, everyday people just trying to go about their lives. Lebanon is such a tiny country. Beirut is such a tiny city. I'm seeing footage from my friends standing on their balconies, on their rooftops, and they're 360ing their phone. Bomb, 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 smoke everywhere. These aren't targeted attacks. This is bombardment of civilians. According to Al Jazeera, 1/5 of the Lebanese population is currently displaced. 1/5. Over 1 million people. Take a minute for that to sink in and just imagine the scale of that. 1/5 of a nation has no home and has nowhere to go because of Israel. So how do we help the displaced Lebanese people, aside from protesting, rallying, blockading arms factories and RAF bases? I have a friend on the ground in Lebanon. She's one of the most impressive people I've ever known. She is currently doing a lot for... I can't even talk about her without crying, because she is genuinely one of the most selfless, intelligent, amazing people I've ever known. She's working on the ground to make food for displaced people, to shelter them, to provide them with things that they need. Anyone who knows anything about Lebanon knows that getting money inside is really difficult. So if you do want to directly donate to somebody, like my friend, please contact me and I will send you her wish details, and you can send funds that way if you so choose. If you can't do that, please just keep informed about Lebanon, keep speaking about Lebanon, talk to others about what's going on. Please do not shy away from the topic, because we all need to have a hand in stopping this once and for all.
Netanyahu says that the ceasefire doesn't include Lebanon. Israel is still occupying southern Lebanon. But in Prime Minister Sharif of Pakistan's announcement of the ceasefire, he specifically mentioned Lebanon. It was part of Iran's 10-point ceasefire proposal that Israel stop bombing and occupying Lebanon. And for a good reason. Over 1 million people have been displaced. Over 1,500 have been killed. Among them, UN peacekeepers, healthcare workers, 130 children. They're bombing homes. They're ethnically cleansing South Lebanon. They're raising entire neighborhoods for security. People are sleeping in the streets because there aren't enough beds in shelters. This is Gaza 2.0, and that is not hyperbole. And that is not just international humanitarian agencies like MSF, Doctors Without Borders, warning of the similarities. It's Israel itself saying this. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, said that they are using the Gaza model as a template for Lebanon. Israel was never going to agree to a ceasefire in Lebanon, because occupying Lebanon is part of them fulfilling their biblical prophecy to a greater Israel.
Breaking news coming from the Middle East. Tension are rising once again. Israel has made it clear that there will be no ceasefire with Lebanon. At this time, this statement is sending a shockwave across the region and raising serious concern about what could happen next. With this situation already fragile, many are now asking, is this begging of wider escalation? In today's report, we are break down what we said why it's matter and it could mean for both sides and the international community. Before you continue, I want to give credit to all original creator of TikTok clips used in this video. All clips belong to their respective creator and are used here for commentary, news report, and education purpose.
Israel bombed 100 different locations in Lebanon within 10 minutes. 160 bombs were dropped in the largest coordinated attack on Lebanon since the start of the war. This is video footage of Lebanon right now. After experiencing the worst massacre in decades, Israel is literally trying to wipe Lebanon off the map. This large-scale bombardment of Beirut is unprecedented. We haven't seen anything like this since the 1982 invasion. And you know what Israel is calling this operation? Operation Eternal Darkness, because they want to destroy Lebanese society. All of this after a supposed ceasefire deal was signed last night, a ceasefire that was supposed to include Lebanon. Israel gave no warning before striking the capital and declared that they will continue indiscriminate strikes for the next 48 hours. Hundreds of people are dead and hundreds more wounded, according to the Lebanese health minister. Hospitals are overwhelmed with victims. The University Medical Center in Beirut is calling for donations from all blood types because they are so overwhelmed with victims and everyone needs a blood transfusion. First responders are literally bringing them hundreds of injured. One attack killed 3 little girls in the coastal town of Edloun. Another attack killed a prominent Lebanese imam, Sadiq al-Nabulsi, in Saida. There was also an attack on a funeral in East Lebanon. They killed 10 people in the Bekaa Valley at a cemetery. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun said this just adds to Israel's dark record of defying all human values, saying, over the 15 months since the agreement on the cessation of hostilities, we have witnessed the sheer scale of violations and breaches committed with absolute impunity because for once he's decided to shift the blame from Hezbollah to the actual culprit, Israel. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam joined him in saying that Israel is killing defenseless civilians. He said, Israel remains utterly heedless of all regional and international efforts to halt the war, not to mention its utter disregard for the principles of international law and international humanitarian law, which it has never respected. And I just have to say, it is so incredibly frustrating that it took this much for the government to speak out against Israel instead of placing the blame on the only resistance group that Lebanon has.
Looks like there's already a snag in the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is apparently pissed off that Israel is still attacking Lebanon. Israel is still bombing Lebanon. So Iran says, hey, listen, we agreed that we would open the Strait of Hormuz, but we're closing it right now until you stop bombing Lebanon. Trump and everybody else said, well, the whole bombing of Lebanon was not part of the deal. But Iran says, no, you started bombing Lebanon right at the onset of this skirmish, this battle, this war, the Iran war. So they're basically saying, so now that we've agreed to a ceasefire, you need to agree to a ceasefire against Lebanon too, because you started bombing them as soon as this war started. This is going to cause a big problem. Just when we thought the Strait of Hormuz was going to be open and ships could flow freely, and the oil would flow freely, that's not going to happen. At least not for now. It's a very delicate thing. As CNN and others are reporting, fragile ceasefire in the balance as Iran says it is halting oil traffic. All Israel has to do is stop bombing Lebanon.
Israel has no intention of following the ceasefire. This is the mediator of the ceasefire between the US and Iran. He says, with the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately. And just a few hours later, you have the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that the ceasefire does not include Lebanon. At 2:30 a.m. this morning, you have the Israeli military issuing evacuation orders in Lebanon. In its first act of violating the ceasefire, Israel bombed an ambulance in southern Lebanon, which is very Israeli behavior. And if you're one of those people who think that it's just Benjamin Netanyahu that's the problem, here is the liberal opposition leader in Israel saying that the ceasefire with Iran is the biggest political disaster in their history. Netanyahu is facing pressure to continue the war from his far-right coalition and his opposition.
Breaking news, the situation in the Middle East is already starting to slip, and it didn't take long. After the United States and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire, Israel has continued striking targets inside Lebanon. Not a new front, this is already active, but now it's continuing right in the middle of a so-called pause. And that's where the problem starts. Israel is making it clear Lebanon is not part of this deal. Their operations against Hezbollah continue regardless of any agreement between the US and Iran. But Iran is now pushing back hard, because inside Iran's proposal, the same framework this deal is built on, there's a clause that calls for a ceasefire on all fronts, not just between the United States and Iran, but including Israel's conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's point number 10. A deal that was supposed to hold things in place for 2 weeks is already being tested almost immediately, because this was never isolated. This was always connected across multiple fronts.
Is the ceasefire already over, or what is Israel doing? Benjamin Netanyahu committing more war crimes. 12 hours after the ceasefire was agreed upon, Israel is still bombing Lebanon. This was from this morning. This is the result of what Israel did to Lebanon this morning. This was at a funeral. People burying their loved ones are now dead themselves. Lebanon was included in the ceasefire agreement. Israel was told not to continue attacking Lebanon. Now, Iran is pissed. Israel is even admitting to the attacks on Lebanon, calling them a surprise attack. Well, of course it's a surprise attack, because a ceasefire was agreed upon. Now, Iran is pissed and threatening to pull out of the ceasefire agreement. I do not understand why Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu think that rules don't apply to them. He needs to be arrested.
Just one day after the ceasefire deal was announced, Israel has decided to ramp up attacks on Lebanon. Now, Iran is considering withdrawing from the ceasefire entirely. Today, Israel launched what it called the largest coordinated strike across Lebanon since March 2nd, striking over 100 targets. An anonymous security official told the Fars news agency that Iran is preparing a military response to these strikes. Separately, the Tasnim news agency reported that Iran may withdraw from the ceasefire deal entirely if Israeli operations in Lebanon persist. It's very likely these strikes continue, as well as Israel has said Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire. Additionally, Iranian officials, including the Speaker of Parliament, have stated that any Israeli violation of the truce, like the recent strikes in Lebanon, for example, will be viewed as having U.S. backing or coordination. I don't think it's a coincidence that Israel is ramping up attacks just one day after the ceasefire was announced, especially considering in the past, multiple Israeli officials have expressed concerns that Trump might try to end the war prematurely before they can accomplish all of their objectives.
And another one, okay? They hit another oil refinery in Iran. Another one. Just hours after the ceasefire, supposed ceasefire, right? And by the way, what ceasefire? Because Iran clearly said don't attack Lebanon, and they've been relentlessly bombarding Lebanon too. There's a reason the Iranian government said that they don't really want a ceasefire. They would rather a complete end to the war, because they don't trust a ceasefire. And why would they? Why would they? We've all seen what ceasefire means. It means nothing. Ceasefire means they're going to attack you immediately. Come on, be honest. We've seen what they're like. We've seen what the Blue Star regime does. We've seen who they are. And we've seen that their people have been supporting it. The people inside of Israel have been polled and surveyed. They have released data saying that their people are fully in support of this. Their people are going more right-wing, mind you. Like the new generation of Israelis and the current generation of Israelis that's younger, they're supportive of this. They want this. They want this. And they call Iranians Amalekites. They talked about Gaza. They talked about Amalek with Gaza. They're doing it with Iran too. And now they're not going to stop. This is not, they are zealots. They are freaks. And they have to be stopped. And the American people, I'm sorry, we have to step up to stop them. It is our responsibility. We have enabled it. We have to stop them. I told you. Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, they're already saying that Lebanon is not included, that they're not going to stop attacking Lebanon. Like, they're going to continue to ethnically cleanse Lebanon. I told you they would. And I told you they'd find a way to ruin any kind of like deal that would supposedly happen. And this is what the United States actually like does not mind so much, is like, this is a tactic. I don't know if you've read like Path to Persia, but like, this is the tactic. It's like, oh, we're pretending to negotiate because we want to seem like reasonable people, because we want to attack them, but we want to make them look like they're the problem, right? And they're always like, if Iran doesn't like break something, that they're going to find a way to create a situation where they're like, oh, well, now we got to go in. And this is what they're doing. Like, but what do you mean you're going to keep going in Lebanon? Iran explicitly made it clear that Lebanon was not to be attacked, that it needed to stop. And that was part of it. And if that's not it, like, they're going to keep going too. So Israel's basically just like saying, oh, keep continuing the war, and we're probably going to just blame you tomorrow when you do hit us. Like, literally violating everything that was discussed or whatever it was. Like, they know what they're doing. They want this to continue. Like I said, Israel does not want peace. It has never wanted peace. The goal they have is expansion, and they cannot do that when there's peace, can they? And quite frankly, we've seen them break any ceasefire that they have, agreed upon themselves personally. So, like, this is not shocking, but it just goes to show you character, and it just goes to show you that, like, you can never trust them ever. Like, ever, ever, ever on anything. And that's not just Netanyahu, by the way. Their entire government, their entire society, their society supports this. And studies have shown that people inside of Israel, like the Jewish people inside of Israel, they have gone more to the right lately. Like, that's what studies have found. They support this. They want this. And, like, I really, like, resent, like, even, what's his face? Bernie Sanders. Like, he constantly wants to frame this as, like, Netanyahu's government, Netanyahu's war, Netanyahu's... This is an Israel problem, okay? Like, their society has this problem. Because Benjamin Netanyahu is supported. Yes, once in a while we see pockets of protest, but those protests get nowhere. He is in power, and he will remain in power. Like, this is not something that we... Like, the Israeli people, there are not enough of the people inside of Israel rising up to stop this. Like, it has to come from the outside at this point. Like, you have to just figure out that it has to be us.
As the situation between Israel and Lebanon continue to unfold, the world is watching closely. Will tension cool down, or will we heading toward deeper conflict? Only time will tell. What are your thoughts on this development? What are your thoughts on this development? What are your thoughts on this? I swear. What are your thoughts on this developing story? Do you think ceasefire is still possible? Let me know your comment. Let me know in the comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real-time update on global events. See you in the next episode.